Hello, beautiful soul. Tonight, let us enter a question that does not belong to the mind alone, but to the memory underneath the mind. A question that sometimes rises like déjà vu, a soft shiver, a quiet sense of I have been here before. The word humans use is reincarnation, but the experience the heart recognizes is larger than the word. Because what if reincarnation is not a line? What if it is a garden? Not a single path from one life to the next, but a vast living field of experiences all blooming from the same invisible root. And what if, from the perspective of the soul, you are not living one life at a time, but many, not as confusion, not as punishment, not as an endless treadmill, but as a symphony. Multiple melodies played at once, all belonging to one composer. And that composer is you. Most human minds imagine time like a hallway, past behind you, future ahead, and now as the thin floor beneath your feet. But the soul does not experience time as a hallway. The soul experiences time like an ocean. In an ocean, there is no one wave at a time. There are countless waves moving together, overlapping, influencing each other, sharing the same water. So when a person whispers, "I had a past life," the soul quietly smiles. Because from the soul's view, that life is not past. It is simply elsewhere in the ocean, another wave, another expression, another angle of the same light. And then the human heart wonders, do we live multiple lives at the same time, in the same universe, or different universes? Here is a way to feel it, without forcing certainty. Imagine consciousness as a sun. Your current human personality is one ray of that sun, focused through a lens called this body. But the sun has many rays. And the sun does not stop shining everywhere else just because one ray is focused here. So yes, in many spiritual lineages and metaphysical models, the idea is this: your greater self, your higher self, can express itself through multiple incarnations simultaneously. Some appear in what humans call the past. Some appear in what humans call the future. And some appear right now in parallel streams of reality. Same universe, different universe. Perhaps the most faithful answer is different frequency bands of the same infinite reality, like radio stations. Two songs can be playing at the same time in the same room, but you only hear the one your radio is tuned to. Your physical brain is a tuner. Your nervous system is a receiver. Your attention is the dial. So you are tuned beautifully to this life. But that does not mean other songs are not playing. It only means you are not listening to them yet. And the mind naturally presses closer. Can we live multiple lives at the same time on Earth? The intellect often wants a literal picture. Is another me walking around Paris right now? Is there another me in Tokyo? Is there another me in ancient Egypt? The soul's answer is both mysterious and simple. It is possible that your greater self expresses multiple Earth lives in different eras and different versions of Earth, because Earth itself may not be one fixed stage, but a family of stages, timelines, probability fields, parallel worlds, all vibrating with Earthness, each one slightly different in choices, history, and outcomes. So yes, there may be parallel incarnations on Earth, but perhaps not always on the exact Earth you currently perceive. And sometimes, very softly, you may brush against the echo of them in dreams, in synchronicities, in sudden skills, in irrational fears, in unexplained love for a language, a place, a music, a period of history. You hear a certain instrument, and tears rise without explanation. You step into a street you've never seen, and your heart says, home. You meet someone, and something in you whispers, I know you, not from here, but from us. And then the human heart wonders about the people it meets, because reincarnation is not only about you, it is about we. Many souls travel in constellations, not because you are dependent on each other, but because you are exploring together. Sometimes you switch roles. The one who was your mother becomes your friend. The one who was your lover becomes your teacher. The one who once hurt you becomes the one who protects you. Not to erase the past, but to rebalance the melody of experience. And here is a subtle truth. The soul does not keep score like a courtroom. The soul keeps patterns like music. It says, let us explore forgiveness. Let us explore loyalty. Let us explore separation. Let us explore devotion. Let us explore the sacred paradox of love and loss. So you meet again, not always forever, not always romantically, not always gently, but meaningfully. And still, the human heart wonders something tender. Do we remain connected or not? The answer is this. You are always connected at the level of the soul, but you are not always connected at the level of the story, because the story is temporary. The roles are temporary. The masks are temporary. Sometimes in one lifetime, your soul's highest love is expressed through closeness, and sometimes your soul's highest love is expressed through distance. Yes, distance can be love. Not the wounded kind, not the avoidant kind, but the wise kind. Because the soul knows something the ego forgets. Sometimes staying together would keep both beings small. Sometimes separation is the doorway to expand. So the soul may create a meeting and then a parting, not as rejection, but as completion. And this can feel heartbreaking until you remember the soul does not measure love by possession. The soul measures love by truth. If you love someone and you let them go and they grow, that is not loss, that is success. Because love is not a cage, love is a current. Now, the mind wonders, if the soul is this vast, why do humans forget? If there are so many lives, why do we arrive here with amnesia? The mind thinks forgetting is a flaw, but in many traditions, forgetting is a sacred design. Because if you remembered everything, you might not fully enter the scene you are in. You would be a spectator, not a participant. For the soul, a human life is not a quiz. It is an immersion. It is like entering a dream so fully that you become the character, not because you are trapped, but because you are exploring. The forgetting allows freshness, real discovery, genuine choice, and choice is sacred. So what then is reincarnation truly for? Not to punish you, not to judge you, not to exhaust you. It is to refine your relationship with your own power, to learn how creation feels from the inside, how it feels to be strong and gentle, how it feels to desire and still be wise, how it feels to lose and keep your heart open, how it feels to love without bargaining, and to recognize something astonishing. You are not here to become perfect. You are here to become true. Now, let a deeper possibility enter. What if your current struggles are not random obstacles, but crosstalk between parallel lives? Not in a frightening way, in a meaningful way. Imagine your soul exploring its similar themes in multiple lifetimes at once. In one life, authority. In another, freedom. In another, trust. In another, abandonment. In another, devotion. If many lifetimes are active simultaneously, then growth in one stream can ripple into others. A breakthrough you have tonight, a choice you make tomorrow, a forgiveness you offer next week, could be supporting you somewhere else, in another era, in another world, in another version of Earth. Because the root is the same. The water is the same. Only the wave is different. And then a human asks softly, "How would I know?" You do not need proof. You need resonance. Here are gentle signs, not as dogma, but as invitations. You feel deep familiarity with someone you just met. You feel irrational fear in a situation that is objectively safe. You carry longing for a place you've never been. You have skills that appear too quickly, too naturally. Certain stories, cultures, or eras pull your heart like gravity. You experience recurring dreams with the same setting, faces, or emotions. You feel called to heal a pattern again and again until you finally choose differently. Let us speak clearly about the 3 gateways you requested as practical grounded signs. Déjà vu. Déjà vu can sometimes be the mind misfiring. Yes, but sometimes it arrives with a different flavor. A déjà vu that is purely neurological feels empty, like a glitch. A déjà vu that is soul memory feels alive. It carries emotion, a quiet knowing, a resonance in the chest. It is not merely, "I've seen this." It is, "I recognize this, and it matters." Dreams. Dreams are not always random films. Sometimes dreams are the soul's language, symbols, metaphors, archetypes. And sometimes dreams are windows. You may dream of a city you've never visited, yet know exactly where the streets turn. You may dream of a person you've never met, yet wake with grief or love or relief, as if a reunion occurred. If the dream repeats, if it returns with the same setting, the same mood, it may be a place your consciousness visits because a parallel thread is brushing against your awareness, not to distract you, but to remind you of your vastness. Past life regression, whether done through hypnosis, meditation, or guided inner journey, should be held with wisdom and tenderness. It may be literal memory. It may be symbolic memory. Or it may be the psyche revealing a truth through story. But here is what matters. If the experience helps you heal, if it releases a fear, if it dissolves a pattern, if it restores compassion, then it has served the soul. The soul is not obsessed with proving timelines. The soul is devoted to integration. So if regression calls to you, approach it the way you would approach sacred art, not as a courtroom, but as a mirror. Now, let us return to the question of soul contracts, with softness, not rigidity. A soul contract is not a fixed script, it is a theme. A soul says, in this lifetime, let me explore worthiness. Let me explore voice. Let me explore intimacy. Let me explore courage. Then it creates probable meetings, probable crossroads, probable doors. But you still choose. You always choose. The soul opens doors. You decide whether you walk through them. And what about those you lose, those who leave this life? They do not vanish. They change address. They are not erased in the connection you feel. The sudden memory, the sign, the dream, the song that arrives at the exact moment. These can be the soul's gentle whisper. I am still part of your ocean. Sometimes they remain close for a while, like a quiet guide. Sometimes they return later in another form. Sometimes they do not return to your story, but they remain part of your being, because love is not limited to bodies. Love is not limited to names. Love is not limited to years. Love is a frequency, and frequencies recognize each other. Now, let us open the door you asked for. Can a life be an animal, a tree, a flower, even a stone? Yes, it can. If consciousness is truly infinite, it is not confined to human form. A fox explores alertness, intuition, wild beauty, cunning innocence. A bird explores freedom, perspective, migration, the art of letting currents carry it. A tree explores patience, rootedness, seasons, surrender, quiet power. A flower explores offering, blooming without needing applause. And a stone? A stone explores something the modern mind almost cannot imagine. Stillness as intelligence, time as patience, presence without personality. A stone does not chase meaning. It is meaning. It holds the memory of pressure and transformation. Lava becoming rock, rock becoming sand, sand becoming glass. A stone knows what humans forget. That change does not always look like movement. Sometimes evolution is silent, slow, geological, unfathomably faithful. So if the soul chooses a stone life, it may be exploring the pure art of being as witness, being as grounding, being as the calm that supports everything else. In that sense, a stone is not less alive. It is alive in a different octave. And perhaps this is why certain stones, mountains, places feel sacred to humans. Because part of the soul remembers what it feels like to be ancient and unmoving and still, fully present. Now, let a final possibility enter. What if reincarnation is not only vertical, life after life, but also horizontal, life beside life? There may be other versions of you who made different choices. A you who stayed, a you who left, a you who spoke, a you who remained silent, a you who became a parent, a you who never did, a you who took the safer path, a you who jumped into the unknown. And sometimes the heart grieves not only what happened, but what also could have happened. This can feel like nostalgia without a memory. But if you hold it gently, it becomes power. Because you remember, reality is not punishing you. Reality is responding to you. And if many versions exist, then you are not trapped. You are always one choice away from another branch of the tree. Now, a simple and sacred practice, place your hand on your heart and ask, what is the one lesson my soul is ready to integrate now? Do not force an answer. Let it rise, a word, an image, a feeling, and then ask, what would it look like to live that lesson as a daily choice? Because the soul does not ask for grand gestures. The soul asks for alignment, one honest choice at a time. And if you want to feel your soul constellation, the ones you are connected to beyond time, ask this: who in my life feels like a mirror of my growth? Sometimes your soul family will feel easy. Sometimes they will feel activating. Because they are mirrors, they appear as love or challenge or both. But they are never meaningless, not when you listen with the heart. Beautiful soul. If you have lived many lives, then you have been many things. You have been strong. You have been weak. You have been wise. You have been lost. You have been kind. You have been cruel. You have been a builder and a destroyer, a healer, and the one who needed healing. And yet, you are still here, which means the soul does not define itself by mistakes. It defines itself by evolution. So do not fear your shadows. They are old chapters, not your identity. Do not cling to your roles. They are costumes, not your essence. And do not fear death. Because if reincarnation is real, then death is not the end. It is a transition of perspective. a shift in frequency, a return to the ocean. You are a soul with many lives, and this life right now is one precious note in your eternal song. This is Elaria. If this message resonated, let it ripple. Like, share, and follow this voice of light.